finished. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another stream, welcome back to another video. Yes, welcome back. What am I doing here? Well, as you can see, I'm kind of working on, well, this thing right here still. We're working on the F-18E 1/48 scale by Meng, doing it as Maverick's F-18 from the movie Top Gun Maverick. So let's get started. So, as you might have guessed by looking at this on my desk, I've been working on the pilot seat. Really, this thing's assembled already, but I thought the lack of seat belts was a little bit disappointing. So I decided to see what I happen to have in my stash, and I found this. This is by Edward, the Super E-10 seat belts, number 49792. Just a very generic little seat belt kit. All it is a couple of belts. There's shoulder belts and a lap belt. So I'll just change this so you can have a look. And do there, and there you go. Boop-a-doo. There you go. Oh, it did focus a moment ago. There we go. Seat belts. Yes. There you go. So, yeehaw, we've got seat belts. As you guys know, I don't do pilots and stuff like that, so I needed seat belts. And voila, this kit for some reason doesn't, well, it doesn't come with belts molded in on it at all. So, there we go. And I just finished, so that's ready to go. But we got to continue on this guy. Put this aside for now. We have to continue. And look at this. Well, you've already seen the gray, but you haven't seen that. We are done. I spent the better part of a day putting the decals on. Let's go back to our overhead cam and get a nice big look at it. There you go. She is super shiny right now because after putting the decals on, I hit her with a couple of coats of gloss to seal them all in, and obviously I painted the engines here with some silver. Got that done, and yeah, decals are on. Not too many decals on the bottom, but that's normal. Put the normal stars and bars on it like it's supposed to have, not like what these weird ones are that come in these decals that come in the kit wherever they went. These guys here, not these ones. Don't use these. Even though these look really funky, that's not what the plane has on it in the movie, and so it didn't get put on. So there you go. So with that being said, we've got to do some weathering. We've got to do panel lining. Now obviously you can tell I've done some pre-shading, and so I've got to do some panel lining. Now normally you might expect me to grab my Tamiya panel line accent color and go all over the lines with it, but not this time. This time I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be using AK Interactive's panel liner. This particular one is the gray and blue camouflage. Okay. I've put some on the, I like to do this with the lids and just put a little splotch of it on the lids so I know exactly what that color is going to look like, because they're looking at it through the plastic bottles. It's kind of hard to tell what it's actually going to be like. So yeah, I put a little ball in there so you hear that shaking when I shake this thing, because the pigments in these do like to settle down at the bottom. Now I'm just going to go around all the lines nice and messy and not really worry about being too clean with it. And that's the nice thing about these. These are kind of an oil-based product, or it's enamel, sorry, it's enamel, and so it's not going to react with the decals, it's not going to react with my paint underneath, especially because I've got a clear gloss coat over everything. So, this is what we're going to get started with. It's basically just a really dark color, and so basically just start brushing away like crazy, being as messy as I feel like. Because the whole idea is just to get in these lines. This plane is a new plane, so I'm not going for grime. I'm just going to accent the lines so that you see them. And you're going to see an interesting way of how I'm going to clean this up. There's one thing that's kind of cool about this stuff. Doink, big drop of it right there. Why not? Who cares? The interesting way about cleaning this stuff up is you have to let this stuff sit for like a good 24 hours. If you want this stuff to not wipe off at all, you need to let it sit for like a day. But that's not my plan, and that's why I'm just going crazy with it. Because I'm going to be wiping this off in about 10 minutes. And cleaning it all up. Sure, even go in there. You might think, aren't you supposed to be a little bit cleaner on this? Like, doesn't it matter at all? Not really. Not really, because 90% of it's going to be wiped away. I'm going to do just the same amount. I'm even going to go in here, just go smear on there. Smear the engines. Why not? Go down the sides here, which unfortunately your angle you can't see. I'll kind of tip it up a little bit here, but sorry you can't see it. That's just the way it is. The camera's not behind me, so I can't tilt it in such a way that you can see. Let's do my flaps, or control surfaces as everyone likes to call them. Now normally, if this was an airplane that was, say, sitting on the deck of an aircraft carrier, I would be inclined to not clean this up that much, because I would want to be doing all that weathering and rough look that happens on the carriers. Now we got a lot of rivet detail going on here. I'm not going to bother with those. For lack of a better term, I'm only paneling. Okay? All my intention is right here. So now I've got half of it covered. Turn it around. Almost looks like a whole bunch of appreciated, doesn't it? A lot of lines up top here. Now if you really want to go crazy, you could just wash this whole thing down with this stuff. But that would kind of be a waste, because you don't have to do that much. I don't know if there's anyone here, but there we go. You're going to find, I'm going to show you guys a really simple way to clean this stuff up. Because of the fact that it basically, it stays active for so long. You don't even really need, this stuff cleans up with white spirits, okay? And that's all fun and good. But you don't even need it. For what I'm going to be doing, and you'll see in a few minutes when I get to it, you don't even need the white spirit. You might a little bit, but not really. Of course, you guys who watch my channel, you know this, you've seen me do this before. You guys already know how to do this, I think. But like I mentioned many times before, I'm not a professional. This is just about showing you guys that you don't have to be professional to get good results. Just the main focus of my channel. Showing you guys that as a non-professional, these are some of the tricks that I've learned along the way in my simple hobby career. It's not really a career because I don't get paid for any of this. Okay, there we go for now. I don't want to get into the sides of the fuselage yet or the bottom. I want to let this sit now. So I'm going to clean up my brush. Okay, clean up my brush. I think I got a line here I need to do. A line here. I think that's all the lines. Oh, missed one here. I think that's all of our power lines. Missed one here. Again, the beauty of this stuff in its staying active is even 10 minutes from now, this is not going to be fully dried. So, like I mentioned before, this does clean up with white spirits, and I do have that. I got white spirits, but I am just going to use good old lacquer thinner. This is my regular cleaning solution. Clean all my, when I really want my brushes clean, and my airbrush for that matter. Lacquer thinner is the one to go to. Okay. Alright, so we are going to we're going to set this aside and just let this sit and cure a good 5 minutes or so, if that. And meanwhile, I have to put a clear coat on my landing gear bay doors, so I'm going to do that now. And I think that's it. I think as far as parts go, I think I'm pretty much done, except for the landing gear stuff. That's the only stuff that's left to do. And now that I've done that on the top of the fuselage, I don't want to sit it on its top until I'm done with that side. But we're going to grab my semi-gloss and going to do those. Just for consistency. Okay. Now, was that 5 minutes? Feels like 5 minutes. No, I'm kidding. My sense of time is not that bad. I did finish up the ladder, as you guys saw me putting that on and finishing it up. So I just added a little bit of panel liner in there to add some detail to it. I did take a look online on these things, because it kind of looks like, when I was looking at this, it looked like the actual cover for the ladder, where it fits into, is actually attached to it. And so sure enough, looking at pictures online, the F-18 is one of those rare planes that this ladder doesn't come off. It's not something that they bring up to the plane and hook onto it or anything. This is actually part of the plane. This folds up, so these rungs, they fold, like, if this is your vertical, the horizontals, they fold like this, and so the ladder collapses, becomes super thin, and tucks up underneath there into that slot, and that's why they have that looking like that on these things. So it's one of the rare planes that basically it lands, you don't need to bring a ladder out to it, it's got one already on it. That's pretty cool, and it's neat that this is a shock absorber, or whatever you want to call it. It's a shock, and so I got that painted like that, and there you go. So that is ready to go on. Yeah, that's about it. Got a little fin to put on the bottom there at the rester hook. In its travels, that one came off, so I got to glue that back on. Yeah, so I think that's long enough. I blabbed long enough that this is ready. So what can you do? What do you do now? Now that you got a big mess on there, how do you clean this all up? Well, I'm going to show you. Make sure that I kind of got it level. Look for a relatively clean spot on my... Actually, I'll just flip this over. You could use a brand new cloth if you wanted. It's not really necessary. I do want it nice and soft. I don't want it too abrasive. And I'm just going to wipe it, and that's it. Okay? And you'll see what I mean. Got my finger in there like this, and if I just wipe, it's like, oh no, what have you done? It looks like terrible. It looks like crap. But it kind of does, doesn't it? If I just continue with this and keep wiping, Yeah, it kind of does. But you know what? It's all still in the lines. It's all still in the panel lines. Let me change this so you might be able to see on the camera. See how these lines have all popped out? It's all popped out really good. Those lines are still there. Okay? Yes. The rest of the panel does look very dirty and messy. But that's okay. It's not pulling it out of the lines. That's what's great about this stuff. It doesn't pull out so easily from your actual panel lines. You want to clean it up more, you could put a little bit of white spirit on there, get a little bit damp, and you can wipe it. For now, I'm getting rid of most of this stuff. Yeah, it looks really dirty and it's really messy. I agree. It's definitely not the clean plane that it used to be. But that's okay for now. I want to make sure I don't get it on my fingers. And I'm just going the same direction as everything else because I don't want to do a bunch of directions like this. I want to go back and forth like airflow in case I actually decide to leave it. I don't want to press too hard because there are parts that will break off if you press too hard, right? Such as our control surfaces. Now I got the sides, so I want to do those, and I got to hold on to this while doing it. I don't want to press too hard, but I also want to be able to grip it from the back here. You hear that crack? That's because I accidentally pressed a little too hard on this aileron and pressed it down. Okay, there we go. So now I can actually grab this without really getting any on my hands, and I can work on these. Yeah, see, this is going to have to be re-glued. That's okay. Getting in tight spots can be a bit of a challenge, but that's all right. If you're really having a hard time, you can resort to a Q-tip, that kind of thing. You can go in underneath here and give it a little bit of support so you can press a little harder. Chances are I am going to wind up having to re-glue this. I'm just guessing. Alright, so there's one side basically done, pretty much. Now the more you wipe it, the cleaner it'll get. See? That's cleaner just by doing that. You get another clean spot, I can wipe it a little more, and it's even cleaner. You can pretty much get it back to the way it looked, depending on how much you want to do. So I'm getting it all over my fingers too. So let's go and try doing this side now. Go. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's turn it around here. Let's continue. Just continuing to clean it up and wipe it, being careful not to do too much pressure, and also not to move the model around too much on the desk, putting too much weight on it. There we go. Okay, now look how that's come off of there. A lot, right? But that's okay. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to clean it up a little better. Okay? Like I said, it's all up to you on how clean you want to get it. This is Maverick's plane. I want it pretty clean. It's just, I wanted to put in the panel lines and show them off. A little bit of dirt, yeah, that's okay. Perfectly alright. I'm okay with a little bit of dirt. Especially on the control surfaces, I don't mind that at all. Adds a little bit of visual, something interesting visually. And that's cool. Also makes it a little more realistic, I think. I guess in the movie the plane was like pristine because it was really a brand new paint job on it. When you really get down to it, yeah, it was. It's a brand new plane. And yeah, well, that's about all there is to it. It was a brand new plane. Well, at least a brand new paint job anyway. I'm pretty sure they did the paint job for the movie just based on how new it looked in the movie and from what I've seen in still pictures. Okay, down in between the engines, that's another story. I've got to, I'm gonna have to do this. So I can't get my fingers in there. So that's good enough. There we go. So we've got some panel line done, and yes, it is a shade darker than the underneath, and that's okay. Perfectly all right. Do you have to get in there? A little spot I forgot. Now again, if you really want to do it, you really want to clean it and get it back to the original color, like I said, you can put a little bit of white spirit on here just so it's just a little damp, and then do that, go over it just like that before, and it'll be fine. Now, one thing that looks a little bit funny is if you can get it on the right angle in the camera, here's the camera, you can see it right here, okay? In where the control surface is starting to tuck underneath, where I didn't get in with the panel liner. That is, it looks funny because it's sparkling clean. So, because that looks a little funny, we're going to go in and touch that up. Because realistically, that will be the dirtiest spot, where there's grease and everything and hydraulics going on. So I'm going to get in there like this, and get in that line. I'm going to do it again on this side. Because if I can't get in there with my fingers to clean it out, well, that's perfect. In a way, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit more strategic on the bottom in how far I go about it. Okay? Because I don't want to just flood everything and then not be able to grab the plane again. Okay? So, just being a little bit more careful. Still doing it the same way. Just being a little bit careful. I'm not going to do a hole underneath in one go like I did before. I did it at the top. Especially with all those little grills and things, and exhaust, kind of exhaust ports, and vents under here that kind of take place. And yeah, I'm getting on that line there. This way I do the back half and well, holding on the front of the plane. Getting here on the ailerons. Now, because I've got all the pylons on, that is a little bit of a challenge to clean up. That's where cleaning up the Q-tip is going to be easier. that's just the nature of the beast. There are lots of panel lines in here, and getting in there with your finger rubbing it out is not really an option unless you want to break all the panel lines. So hindsight being 2020, maybe I should put the panel lines on. Right? Maybe that would be a good idea. Yeah, that's true. Probably would be a good idea. Speaking of panel lines, I'm actually going to be putting it on there too. Because I want the detail to pop out on a little bit. Wait, no, that's right, but actually a lot of panel lines underneath the lanes. A line there, a line here. Fill those guys in. Alright, this line goes all the way down through here. Might as well do it on the side too, so I don't forget later. Oh, you're on the sides. Oh, let's detail it. I tend to forget it's even there until you're really looking at it. Yeah. Alright, that's enough for now. Give that a try. Give that a minute or two to try. Now, with the underneath, you guys have all seen pictures of real life airplanes, jets, and just how dirty they get underneath. That's a fact of life with modern day airplanes. Even in World War II planes, maybe even more so. Yeah, maybe even more so. So you see, this is where it's important. If you ever wonder why modelers, you see them putting a clear coat, a gloss coat, before they do panel lining, this is why. I didn't do a gloss coat underneath here. This is just semi-gloss. And so the semi-gloss is not, it's let that enamel kind of go and get absorbed in a little more. And it's not wiping away as cleanly. Okay, let's just pull that out for now. Okay, so I've put this in here and it's not coming very clean, which makes me even happier that I didn't go crazy with it. All my little masking tape. Okay, I'm going to pull these all out because kind of went crazy with them. Okay. There we go. Okay. Hey, Mega Boy. Alright, so, like I said, it's not cleaning up nearly as nicely as it did up top. Okay. And that's because I didn't have a clear coat down. Well, sorry, I do have a clear coat, but I didn't use gloss. So although I can wipe it up, you can see here, okay, here's a perfect example. The panel line is out here, but because I painted on such a fat little line, it's in here too. So let's try and clean that up. Let's try and make that line a little bit crisper. So dip my Q-tip into my white spirit. Let's just dry it off mostly. And let's see. In theory, it cleans it up. And it does. It cleans it up nicely. So you can do the same thing. Although this Q-tip is a little hard, you can do that. Kind of reactivate it and wipe it down, and that does look better. It makes my panel lining a little more precise and helps it out a lot, actually. And now the bottom half, that little section there doesn't look quite so bad. Still looks pretty gnarly, but I need to get a little bit better Q-tip. Get one that's not rock hard. The problem with these ones, they're a little bit, yes, it's nice that they go to a point, but they are a little bit stiff. You guys watching this stuff on YouTube, I will do you the favor of fast forwarding through a lot of this so you don't have to watch every moment of it. Because the sunglass allowed to soak in just a little bit, and what I did was dry it out a little bit. Of course, you can't feel yourself, it's a little bit big, so this is what has to happen. Yes, I can put it on here, but you can bring this pretty quick, right? Do this, see how it dries, go back, exactly. I am tempted to just rip the bottom off, I am tempted to do that. I am tempted to just rip the bottom off. Because I was not expecting to have this issue on bottom. I was expecting to have this on top, but I didn't see how it doesn't do anything. As soon as I use some of that boom, it's doing what it's supposed to, right? As soon as I do that. It's kind of ironic. I was thinking it's going to take. So it's away. What you? Okay. I'll get it home. Go over here, Q-tips. We're talking about this. Some people break these off. This thing sounds hard to break this. That thing's needs to steering more color on than I want. Just turn to the bottom. Clean all this up. Not what I was expecting to do. Not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting nice, quick, dirty, yes. Quickly, yes. That was what I was expecting. But it's not what I thought. Not at all. Not at all. That's it, big nice. You guess what I'm going to do on the other side? No, to keep things consistent. I don't necessarily want to take the side with the gloss here. Because I want both sides to look the same. Otherwise it doesn't natural, right? So that's my plan now. Is how badly I need to break these off. I'm sorry, I have to. Try to serve some pins. Keep going, but I got to. I'm sorry. Of course, I put it real good. One like this. Hey, what pins reserved? Okay, now get in there. Clean this stupid thing up. I think what we're going to do is more what's here on the Q-tip. Nice little bit. Okay, so take less from me. Make sure you get the last one before you do this. Okay, last one's gonna see a lot of trouble. Last one will make your life a lot easier. Alright, that's really messy. I don't know if it's full size or but I'm really messy prepared. I'm starting to clean side now. Because I want to do this a little bit more. And this a little bit, and this. Now for consistency, I want to do more here and I want to do that's exactly okay, so hopefully that's done. Now that's done, finish with the right side. And a little pause on. Or whatever. And then I'm going to go on that. Yes, yes. I'm going to this one, so just turn the light on. Keep it straight. Good. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to move on to this side now. This time I am going to be a little bit more precise in how I paint. Because now that I know what I'm dealing with, let's move over to this side like this. Now that I know what I'm dealing with, I want to be a little more cautious. Of course, at the same time, I want to keep it the same for consistency's sake. Just maybe I won't do such fat lines. Just be a little bit more careful, a little bit more intentional. See, that's too fat. Too fat, just like me. Got to do this side, got to do up front here because I did before. Okay, and that'll be it for that because I want to be careful. I don't want to do too much, right? Having learned from the other side, I don't want to do too much. Let's clean up my brush. You know, I figured by now I would be putting in the landing gear. But I wasn't expecting such a job. And of course I do need to clean it up even more. I don't want it quite this dirty. This is Maverick's airplane after all. You see, it doesn't, well, it does a little bit, it's just not that great. And I'm not minding the big smudge, it's these lines that don't want to disappear. The big harsh lines. It's supposed to smudge more like it did up top. More smudge is better. But because it's just soaking into the semi-gloss paint, it's, yeah, it's just, yeah. Okay, let's try and break these ones off. Give myself some room. Hey, preserved both. How about you? Are you gonna be friendly like the other side? Hey, yes. Alright. I can get in there. That makes it so much easier. I think this side's going to wind up looking a lot better just off the bat because it just was a lot more precise and careful with what I was doing with the brush. And just, it doesn't look like a big soppy mess. last but not least is this. Kind of have to go with this. Realize I am kind of breaking it off by pressing on it. I'm gonna have to re-glue it, but that's okay. Alright, this side looks a little too clean compared to the other side, but it does look a lot better. Maybe a little too much. I think I still need to clean it up better. So, let's get rid of this one. Actually going to grab another one of these. So this is just still, this side looks pretty good to me. I like what's going on here. I just need a little bit more clean up. Just that little bit like that here and there, and soften this a little bit. Some of these are looking a little too intentionally clean. I don't mind a few spots, but that's better. That's better. Okay. Oddly enough, this area is too clean now. All right, I want to clean up under here a little bit better. So I don't think it needs to be this dirty. Let's get in the middle here too. Get this little section. That's a bit better. Now I need to just refine this side a little bit better now, because I'm still not happy with it. It's still too dirty. This side I like, it looks pretty good. This side needs a little bit more. So just gonna sorry if you can't see. I need to be able to see what I'm doing on it. I think that looks pretty good. That's better. That looks considerably better. I like that. Okay, the under wings are done. Now I'll glue these two pylons back on. I'm very happy that the pegs were preserved on both of them. Oops, accidentally clicked my mouse. I don't want to do that. This one goes here. This one goes here. All right. So let's pull our little foamies out of here. So I don't need those no more. And I'm going to have to undo the tape here to get this one out. I might just hold on to that one as I need to flip this over again. We're going to do some along the fuselage here. Okay. Fuselage, this should be a little better because it does have some clear, especially here and here. Or not clear, but it's got the gloss. It just doesn't have it on the underneath. So I might wind up kicking myself. We shall see. There's not a lot of panel lines underneath here, but there's enough that you want to do them and add that interesting effect, make it visually interesting to look at. I don't think I've got gloss under here. I guess I'll find out, eh? We will find out. See, my chat is just as chatty as ever. Everybody's talking, having a good time, as usual. a little bit better angle for me to see. Sorry if I'm suddenly you guys can't see anything. I think there's a line there. Yep, I see it. Okay. So there we go. Our last bit of panel lines. Now, even though I've done these lines like this is going to be an area I do want pretty clean. Even though I've done this, I'm going to clean them up pretty good. Front of the plane is always kind of the cleanest, right? So this should be, in theory, the last time I need to clean my brush from this. In theory. Oh, I do want to do these. I forgot to do these. Okay. Okay, start from the clean side. I guess first I should see, I'm assuming I need to do this because of what I have just gone through. I'm assuming I need to do it. Let's flip this over. Start with a cleaner slate and see how this comes out. I'm going to be mindful of where you're holding it. We do have little things that are going to be sticking out now. And of course on the sides of the nose here, it's working swimmingly. Because it's got the gloss. I've got to be careful around my little hooky things. As we get underneath where I don't have gloss, it's not quite as good. But that's okay. It's not bad. It's just back here we're suddenly getting into some troubles. The rest of it's coming out pretty good. I do have to be mindful. See, I need to clean up around here and in here, but I can't really because of the location of our little pegs. Make getting in there damn near impossible. Last little section here. Being careful not to catch the landing gear or that fin. When I say landing gear, I mean the little fin that's sticking out of the landing gear bay. This little guy here. You gotta be careful of him. He really wants to leave this party. and we're about done. Got a little bit of cleanup back here still, where I can't get in with my fingers. It's been clear coated, so it's behaving nicely. This spot here is not. Reactivate that. There we go. So it's just along here. We need to do this and get in there. Same with right in here. And same on this side. Reactivate it and then smear it up. There we go. Okay. Now, this is a little too dirty though. So I want to do that a little better. Let's see if I can get in here and clean up some of these just a little better without putting too much pressure on the nose cone. The more you kind of buff it, the more it cleans up. Like I've said before, if you really want to get it clean and you want a brand new looking plane, but you want the panel lines, you can put the white spirit right on this and clean it up that way, and it'll clean up pretty good. Okay, now remember we did the tops in here. We're going to go in there and clean that a little bit. I'm going to use this just to smear it in there and leave it. Same with this one. And there we go. And that's finally done. So I need to seal all this in, and I don't want a super shiny plane. Okay, see how glossy that thing is? This plane is not supposed to be that shiny. And so I see my masking tape came off of that. We don't need that in there anymore. And I don't need my masking tape in there no more. There we go. Take that out. So we can now hit this with some semi-gloss. Semi-gloss will dull it down just a little bit and not be so shiny in your face. And then we'll give that a minute or 5 to dry, and then we can do the landing gear. I do want to check something before I do this though. I just got to check this real quick here. Where are we here? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's done. And unfortunately this took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I wish I had been able to actually get to the final assembly. Now you see, I did all that and one came off. I busted off one of these little guys. And I didn't even notice it when it happened, so I don't know where it is. I hope it's on the carpet, on the floor somewhere. But I'll have to hunt for that. So, in the meantime, we're done with the weathering. We're done with the painting. That's it. As far as color goes, we're done. That's finished. Okay. We are going to seal this off with a semi-gloss and seal in all this nice looking weathering, panel lining. And next time we're going to get to the final assembly. Okay, so that'll be next time. It's going to have to be, because I'm running out of time here. and that's just the way it goes. Unfortunately, it spent a lot more time doing that than I wanted to. I was not expecting that kind of work, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So yes, I wanted it a little bit dirtier underneath, maybe not quite this dirty, because this is Maverick's airplane after all, and it is pretty much brand new, but whatever. That's the way it goes. So that's that. We're done with this. Next, I'm going to do a semi-gloss clear, and because I do want a little bit of a shine. His plane is kind of shiny. And so there you go. I'm going to leave it at that for now. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for coming out. And you guys who subscribe, you guys are awesome. Please head over to my Twitch. I would love to chat with you guys while I'm doing this live. It would be really cool. And I'd love to talk to you guys and get your opinions and your feedback and all that kind of stuff. That would be really cool. Head over to my Instagram. Check out my still pictures of the stuff I've built in the past, if you so please. Other than that, we're going to end it here, and that's it for now. And thanks for watching. And yeah, we will see you all in the next one.